On today's episode, Kevin and I chew some cinnamon leaf, and it's delicious, and we talk about a whole range of plants, and we look ahead to all of the shows that you're going to be at. Just run some past us.
The Brisbane Plant and Garden Expo, the Queensland Garden Expo in July, Pine Rivers, we go to Esk. We're probably going to go to the Gameri Pumpkin Festival this year.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So, yeah, we go to a few.
Okay, that's where you can go. Kevin's got the most amazing array of plants that you will find. You can eat from your garden forever.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
They're all perennials.
Stay tuned. Watch right to the end. I think you'll love it. Welcome to Stories from the Red Couch. I'm Robin Cook, and today my guest is Dr. Kevin Red. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Robin, how are you?
It's been a bit of a mad scramble to get here.
Hasn't it?
Yeah.
But here we are.
I know, it's fantastic. Thank you for joining me. You've also had quite the journey around getting to being the plant guy that we know and love from the markets. What have you done leading up to this? Because you're a doctor, but not necessarily...
Not in plants, no. I actually used to work in Alaska many, many moons ago. I was a fisheries scientist.
Okay.
And that sort of is what brought me to this country in the first place. I moved to Hobart, and I did my PhD in marine science there. I worked on lobsters and sharks and octopus and a few weird things.
Yeah. And
ended up getting a postdoc in Barley. And just shifted to the School of Plant Science.
Not as in Barley, Cooter Beach kind of Barley.
No, Barley, the grain.
Yeah, fabulous.
I was basically a beer scientist for a number of years.
I reckon that's something that a lot of people would really want to do.
That was very cool. Technically, I was a barley malt biochemist. But,
yeah.
Beer scientist sounds cool.
It does.
So, yeah, I did that. And then, just ended up moving to the Sunshine Coast and started a big giant garden. And next thing you know, I'm growing plants. Next thing you know, I got a nursery.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I met you at the market.
We did meet at the market. And your plants are amazing because they're things that I really haven't seen. And I've lived in Queensland for a long time. But they're plants that are very unusual, aren't they? So have you made it a particular mission of yours to find the more unusual plants?
Yeah. And when we started the garden there, that was sort of what I was into. It's like, I wonder if I can grow this.
Yeah.
Coming from Hobart and coming from Alaska even more, these plants would just never grow. Almost nowhere in America could you grow any of these plants.
Okay.
Hobart, not a chance. So I just sort of was like, I could get one of these. What about that? And some of them are very hard to get. So once I got one and figured out how to propagate them, suddenly people wanted to buy them.
Yeah,
so
of course.
That's sort of how it happened, collecting sort of unusual things.
Sure, and then being on the Sunshine Coast, we've got kind of the best of both worlds, haven't we? We've got that tropical opportunity with a bit of temperate.
That's right.
Yeah.
We can get away with a lot of different plant species here. It's amazing.
Yeah, and so what temperate plants? And you can eat most of the plants that you grow.
Yeah, I love that.
That's really exciting. But what temperate ones do you grow that we can eat?
Well, we still grow tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Everyone grows tomatoes. We still grow those because I like them. We still grow coriander. Not as easy as it is in a cooler place, but we still grow a lot of that.
Yeah.
We still eat parsley, and we still grow olives, and we have a lot of different grapes, and we still, like a lot of those things, we still grow and eat them quite regularly.
Yeah. And then what are some of the more unusual tropical plants? What have we got here?
Well, some of the things I brought along today, this one's actually cinnamon. And most people probably don't know, how pretty it is. It's a cool looking plant, isn't it?
It's gorgeous.
But it really grows well in our climate. It's quite a thick leaf thing. It's very drought tolerant.
Oh, it is. And salt tolerant? Not so?
Oh, look, we don't have salty soil at our location.
No,
so
but maybe salt in the air?
Probably. Ours is really tough. We've got it in a few places, and we don't really irrigate it and don't mollycoddle it at all. But gee, it's easy to grow. And same with I brought this Costus today. I actually eat the little crunchy flower bit. Try that.
Oh, so that's a flower bit.
Yeah, it's ornamental. Looks amazingly cool, but also has this sort of crunchy, sour, tangy kind of thing. Oh
yeah.
Cool, isn't it?
That's really nice.
And we put it in salads a lot. And if you pick up that big ginger there, it looks amazing in the garden. It's a very handsome looking plant.
Yep.
And you can eat that.
There. That's fantastic.
So it's sort of on the edge of ornamental and edible, sort of.
Okay.
That's both.
So when we're growing plants, often we kind of think of a whole plate of veggies, don't we, with these great big bits.
Yep.
But when you've got little things like that, you can just dress up a salad and use them ornamentally as well as. That's fantastic, isn't it?
When people,
I would never have thought of that.
Yeah, when people walk around the garden, it's like, here, try this. Oh, here, try that. And you're often tasting all these weird little things.
Yeah.
And some of
I'm
them,
going to put that there.
like, are as ornamental as they are edible. Like, you probably grow these, sort of,
Yeah.
the tree tomato or tamarillo. They just look amazing when they're all on the
Beautiful.
tree. Some of the unusual chili varieties, it just looks so cool.
Yeah, they are cool.
They just
aren't
look
they?
amazing. So
Yeah.
the garden looks
Gorgeous.
wonderful when they're all in fruit,
Yes.
but they also taste good.
Yeah, for sure.
Best of both worlds, really.
For sure. What would be the most or the rarest plant that you have?
Ooh. I brought this one today. It's called a gack.
A gack.
It's called a gack, yeah. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but it's most commonly grown in like Vietnam and really hot areas.
Okay.
And there's a researcher, she's also a PhD, down at the Uni of Sydney.
Yes.
And she's looking at its anti-cancer properties of the fruit.
Oh,
and the
really?
seeds.
Okay.
It's got this sort of pulpy, thick seed mass in the middle. It's a vegetable.
Yeah.
And it's common in Vietnam only in the short season. And they
Okay.
mix it through rice and makes this bright red rice dish. But the antioxidant levels and, lycopene
Yes.
in tomatoes, it's like 10 times more lycopene than a
Really?
tomato. So superfood, this thing.
Wow.
But not easy to find,
Yes.
not easy to grow. And so that's probably the rarest plant we've got in our entire garden.
Collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and it looks like a vine. So
Looks like a
it's-
vine, yeah. So it grows a bit like a cucumber or a pumpkin or
How
something.
big are the fruit?
Maybe a bit bigger than a tamarillo, but not much.
Okay.
Like bitter melon, kind of warty on the outside.
Yeah.
Cool looking things.
And so, have you grown them enough to get to fruit?
Yep. So this is our first real season to get any action on them.
Wow.
But they're looking promising.
Yeah, that sounds.
I want more
exciting.
seed. That's what I need, more
For
seed.
sure. And what's this one?
Well, this is one of our favorite types of plants. They're perennial greens.
Yes.
And if you live in a cold climate, you grow your kales and stuff, and they have a short season. You resow them. Next year you resow them. Next year you resow them. But here we're blessed with a warm climate. So this one, they often call it Brazilian spinach.
Yes.
Very
Okay.
crunchy. You can give it a try. Like they're plants that you can just sort of graze on. So we grow them like sort of little edges or hedges or ground covers. And anytime you need some greens, just go off and pick some leaves when you're away. So that's
I
what
love that. That's beautiful.
That's really what we live on as a vegetable. Because it takes a little bit of snipping in the garden every
Sure.
night before dinner, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
How hard do you think it is? Because you go to the markets and garden shows and all of that sort of stuff. How hard is it to convince people to grow unusual greens and move away from cos lettuce or, you know?
Good question. It's usually you ask them, you go, have you tried growing broccoli? And they go, oh yeah. I said, did the caterpillars eat it? Oh yeah. Did it go to seed too early? Oh yeah. Did it get destroyed in summer? Oh yeah. And I said, okay, fine. Like, I don't sell those.
No.
Buy one of these. And it's less than a punnet of seedlings of broccoli, just buy one of those.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, come see me the next time at the Expo, I'll give you something else. And they go, oh really? I'm like, yeah, just. And then they come back and, oh, that was amazing, and it's gotten so big, and I
Yeah.
live on it, and I make so many smoothies, and
For sure. We just get sort of trapped into eating the same thing
That's
over
right.
and over again. But what is fabulous about that is the yield must be
it's massive.
it's massive.
Absolutely
And
massive.
compared to a head of broccoli,
That's right.
where you get one and then maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a bunch of
Maybe.
side shoots,
Yeah, maybe.
that's just a continual.
Perennial, yeah.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't tell them, but it's very easy to propagate. So if you
Don't listen to that.
Yeah, if you do want to have a lot of it, it's actually quite easy to make a big hedge of it or a big long row of it, and
Yeah.
I think it looks cool. It's
Yeah.
kind of green, and lush, and
You also do catering, don't you? Do you
do a bit of catering.
Yeah.
This weekend
Tell me about that.
Oh golly, this weekend we have I think 10 guests. So they're for a workshop.
Okay.
So some of them are staying over. So it's probably 10 or 12 for lunch, and then 6 or 8 of them are staying over. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So yeah, it's going to be good. But I always pick stuff from the garden, and I always get blown away. Like
For sure.
I'm like, well, I didn't buy anything.
What's the training? What's the workshop?
This weekend, it's a woman called Christine Cole from the US. It's about somatic movement and embodied practice, and it's for people who are already in that yoga, Pilates, healing kind of space.
Okay.
And so they spend the whole weekend moving and expressing themselves. It's pretty cool.
That sounds fabulous.
It's cool.
Yeah, and so do you run those often? And obviously you've got accommodation at your house then.
Yeah, and she's a bit famous, so she comes maybe once a year to... Yeah, we try and get a few international presenters to come, and...
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So you've got the nursery.
Got the nursery.
You've got the extensive garden.
Yep.
Can people come and see the garden?
Of course they can, yeah. It's best if they make a booking, because I'll often like walk around with them, and because would you know that was cinnamon?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Not really. Would you be brave enough to eat that yellow thing off the ginger?
probably
Maybe not.
Yeah.
So I always say, look, make a booking, and we'll put aside half an hour, and we'll walk around. I'll show you all the stuff, and if you see that in a pot, you think, yeah, whatever. If you see a big stand of it in the garden and you try something, you go,
pretty impressive.
Now I know what this is about.
Yeah. And what I love about going to gardens like yours, and I haven't been, so I think I'll make a booking, is that I can then imagine what it's going to be like in my garden.
Right. That's right.
And that's really what you want people to see.
Yeah, and seeing them full grown, because that's not full grown yet.
No.
And it's like, oh, I saw that at a garden show, it looked nice, but whoa, look how big it's going to get.
Yeah. How big does the cinnamon get? I'm imagining that it's a tree.
Yeah, it's a tree.
It's a tree.
And commercially, they basically cut it off almost brutally.
Ooh.
And it coppices like a native Australian plant.
Okay.
And then they harvest the stick-sized new growth, and they peel that bark back for the bark is what you actually eat.
Yeah.
The leaves, I think the leaves taste good too, but that's that's really not what they make commercial cinnamon out of. But taste.
No, taste it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So good.
Yeah. That's actually cinnamon.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But
so could you dry that and grind it and have that as...
We serve it as tea at caterings and stuff a lot because it's got a really lovely clovey, cinnamony sort of taste.
It has. Now I'm tasting the clove. Yeah, that's amazing.
Cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so cool.
And look at the new growth. How cool is that plant?
Yeah, it's really pretty.
How cool is that?
Actually,
Just
there
saying.
we go. Yeah, there we go. Just going to show you that because that is beautiful. What do you like most about going to the markets and garden shows?
I love the people.
Yeah.
I really just love the people, and I usually do just like this. I bring a few things, and people go, "Oh, tamarillo, what's that?" And I go, "Oh, here, try one." And you just give them something, and they eat it. And usually I have like a sugar cane. I encourage people to grow sugar cane.
That's fabulous, isn't it?
Cane, yeah.
Is that I've grown black sugar cane. They're all much of a muchness,
so many
aren't
types,
they? Yeah. And what do you recommend people do with it?
Well, we have a bike-powered juicer, so we make juice out of it. But there's a really beautiful Thai dish where you scrape the bark off, and so you're just left with that juicy core.
Yeah.
And you make almost like a fish cake recipe. It's usually like 3/4 prawn, 1/4 fish, and you add ginger and garlic and lemongrass, etc. And they make it sort of a bit mushy, and you sort of mush it around the stick, and you barbecue it.
Oh.
It's called kung pan oi in Thai, and it's like amazing because it's really moist because of the sugar. When you barbecue it, the sugar infuses through the prawn a bit, and it's a great dish.
It sounds magnificent.
So good.
Yeah.
And I chew on it. Like I'll just whack a stalk down and I chew on it.
Yeah. And it doesn't taste sweet like once sugar's been processed. It's that
So fresh.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the fresh juice. You often see those fresh juice
At the market.
squeezers.
Yeah.
You see them in
definitely.
India and Thailand and
You
Malaysia.
would imagine that sugar cane like that would have multiple of nutrients as well, wouldn't you?
Heaps. There's plenty.
Yeah. So they're all stripped when you process it
In the
into
refining. Yeah, in the refining.
white sugar. So I'm imagining that it's actually okay to be chewing on sugar cane.
Yeah, and you've seen the fresh juice. It's almost brown.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's not clear. It doesn't look like white sugar water.
No.
It looks like a thick brown juice type of thing.
Yeah. And
We
it
love
gets tall. You could use it in hedging.
Well, yeah, we actually keep it almost like the way people keep bamboo. How it looks like a discrete clump. You have to tidy it up a bit. They can,
Sure.
These things can get a bit ugly looking, so you sort of trim them off a bit. But it will grow just like a bamboo. It has those big, thick kind of culms, and it actually looks very handsome. So I use it as a back planting, so that where you want something that's 2 and a bit meters high as a back sort of screen or something like that.
Yeah.
A bunch of bromeliads in front, or a bunch of pineapples in front looks cool.
Yeah.
I've got a few areas with pineapples in the front and that in the back. Looks
Beautiful.
cool.
Yeah. So I'm imagining that when you're walking around your garden, you're eating out of your garden all of the time, you're pretty satisfied that you're getting all of the nutrients that you need for every day, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's what people can do. So when our boys were little, particularly the older one, would go down and he'd sit in the garden and eat, well, we lived in a cooler area, so he'd eat shelling peas, and he'd sit there and shell peas and just eat them. And I'd say to myself, oh, well, he's had his greens for the day. I'm not going to worry about it. Is that sort of eating?
Well, I think that plants do lose something in transport. And
Yeah.
so if you buy a cucumber,
Yes.
where did it come from?
Yeah.
Like,
That's the question,
you
isn't
know,
it?
Victoria somewhere? When did they pick it? 3 weeks ago, and they wrapped it in that funny little plastic thing and got to the supermarket distribution point, and then it got sent out to a local distribution point, and then it got sent out to the supermarket, sat there for 2 or 3 days, then you bought it. How fresh is that?
Yeah. It's
Really?
not.
Really. Whereas if I go out there and go, oh,
Yeah.
how fresh is that?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
still
straight off
alive.
the plant.
Yeah, it's still alive.
It just makes such a difference, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah.
We grow things like pineapples and bananas, and just we pick them when they're ripe.
Yeah.
We don't pick them when they're green and then put them in a box and send them to somewhere, and then
It changes the chemical composition
Yeah.
in that sense too, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
When fruit is ready to eat, it's a different composition to picking it green.
that's right.
Yeah. What sort of effects do you think that has?
Oh, look, I don't want to speculate on why people are malnourished or
Yeah.
whatever, but I actually think some of the processed stuff is the worst.
Yes.
You know, you buy a salad mix in a bag, and it's not only is it not that fresh, but it's been sliced up already, and you know they
You're
get
losing
quite
it.
oxidized by sitting in those bags. I mean, they're you know they're well researched how they
Of course.
survive in the bag,
packaging.
and
Yeah,
they're you know they've done shelf life trials, and
Yeah.
a lot of my colleagues used to do those.
yeah. Okay.
They were about 2 labs over from us. They did all the shelf. Should have seen it when it was ham and some of the small goods. It was shocking, but anyway. But they are very thoroughly researched, and they know when the
Yeah,
bacteria will grow on them and all that.
Yeah, of course.
But why wouldn't
Well,
you just have your own?
Yeah, that's
You know,
exactly right.
we're
What
lucky
about
here.
small gardens? So you must have acreage. I've got acreage.
yeah.
Small gardens. What would you grow?
This plant, I mean, just have a look at how much soil it's in. Look how dense
It's
that is.
really not much, is it?
No.
It's
And
tiny.
even if you lived in a tiny apartment and you had only a little wee planter box, you've got your greens sorted.
Yeah.
Like that's how big is that pot?
Yeah.
If you have 6 of those pots along your back garden,
Yeah.
you know, and you live by yourself in an apartment, you're sorted. Really.
It's enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's just also a matter of thinking differently about what types of plants that you're growing. So moving away from those traditional, well, for me, because, you know, I'm a Caucasian person and grew up on carrots and potatoes.
Yeah.
So moving away from carrots and potatoes to something that is so much hardier for this environment. would be
Especially if
the
you live
way to
around here. Like if you lived in Brisbane
go. Yeah.
and you had a tiny apartment, that would feed you. If you lived in Brisbane and you had a tiny apartment, don't even think of growing carrots.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like we could probably get away with carrots here on the kind of gardens we've got, but you know, Brisbane people probably not. You know,
So what have you got coming up,
Expo wise,
Expo-wise?
there's a big one in Brisbane, the 16th and 17th of March.
Yes.
The what do they
Brisbane Garden Expo, is that what that is?
Yeah, Plant and Garden Expo they call it, Garden and Plant Expo. That's going to be a good one. April, there's one at Pine Rivers. That's a really good one. Like both of them are multi-day, so there's lectures and different expo, like things to buy, garden wares, etc. Obviously, July is the big one, the Queensland Garden
Yes, for
Expo
us
in
here
Nambour.
on
That's
the
like
Sunshine
the big
Coast.
one.
We love that one.
And we have actually a really big space there this year, and we're building
do
it. Yeah, so it's
Fabulous. In the kitchen garden, in the
no, we're going big this year.
Oh.
We're going with the big pro nurseries.
Oh, wow.
Kind of the main covered area. And we're building a big demonstration garden. They call them the reflection gardens. There's 6 of them.
Okay.
And we're building ours to inspire people to grow edible plants. So it's only, I think, 3 meters by 6 meters or something. So
Only.
it's what you can achieve in a small space.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so that's the concept behind it.
That's great.
And some of our colleagues do big water things, and like they go a bit over the top. But ours is going to be how to eat from a small space.
Wow.
Type
Okay,
thing.
so if people go along to the garden show here in Nambour,
Queensland Garden Expo, the big one.
that's the big one.
That's the big one.
They're going to have to look for you elsewhere.
Yep. Well, we'll be right across from our reflection site, so
Okay.
they won't miss us.
But it won't be in the kitchen garden giant kitchen garden.
We've kind of outgrown
area.
that.
You have, haven't
Kind
you?
of outgrown it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just incredibly exciting. So there's 3 places coming up for people to come and find you.
Yep. And there's a few small ones in between. I'm trying to think where we are in June. We're at Esk in June. That's an interesting one. August, I think they're doing this really cool one in the Gold Coast. They call it Botanical Bazaar. That one's really cool. And there's a few little ones here and there in between, but those are the big ones.
Okay, so that's an effort too, isn't it, to pack up all of those plants and transport them and set up the displays. It's a lot of work.
Yes, but it's fun.
It's fun, isn't it?
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Garden people come.
I know.
You know, it's a really
exciting.
good event. Yeah, they're all good events.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, well, thank you for joining us.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to be at some of those garden shows, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, why not?
We can party on. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.